What's up, fight fans? Welcome to the UFC on Fox 29 or hashtag UFC Glendale post-fight show. My name is Flying Brian J. Thank you so very much for joining me. As always in this show, you guys, the viewers, are my co-host, and my number one question to you is what post-fight rating, 1 to 5, would you give this entire card? Which culminated in Justin the Highlight Gaethje getting finished via TKO in round number 4. My post-fight rating for the entire card is going to be, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5. That's pretty high, and I know a lot of times I'm a Debbie Downer and I give cards less than maybe you think they should deserve in the post-fight rating, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Top to bottom, I loved the entire fight card. There were like really no moments where I was like, man, this thing's taking forever, or that fight was boring as hell and I didn't like it, or anything like that. The pre-fight rating I gave it was a 3, and you guys gave it a 3.3. No, that was what my predicted. My pre-fight rating was a 2.5, and yours was a 2.6. And in the post-fight, I'm giving it a 4.5. Let's start talking about what just happened in the main event of the evening, right after I share this on the Twitter machine to make sure that we can get the people to come and hang out with us so that we can get this thing broken down a little bit here. In the main event of the evening, the thing went 4 rounds. The first round for sure was won by Dustin Poirier. If I can, I'll pull up the stats. First round, Poirier outlanded Gaethje 69-38. Second round, Poirier outlanded Gaethje 68-34. And in a typical Justin Gaethje fight, the stats don't mean a whole hell of a lot because in the third round, Poirier outlanded Gaethje 35-25, but that was, in my opinion, a clear round for Justin Gaethje. Poirier's lead leg was starting to get really chewed up by the inside low kicks from Justin Gaethje. And toward the end of the third round, I believe, Gaethje landed a right hand off of that inside low kick that hurt Poirier. Poirier looked to be a little discombobulated, or not at the very end, but like mid to late third round. Gaethje landed that right hand. Poirier kind of seemed like he didn't know where he was exactly. He looked over to his corner, got his wits about him, and then Gaethje was very calculated with his attack after that happened, and he didn't gas himself out going for the finish. Then, toward the very end of the round, Gaethje poked Poirier in the eyes. He had done it twice. He did it once before that. This was the second time. Clearly poked Poirier in Poirier's right eye, left eye facing, with his left hand. Herb Dean had to take a point. Then at the very, very end, as the bell went off, Poirier poked Gaethje in the eye, I guess making it kind of even. When we came back out for the third round, it seemed like the momentum, for the fourth round, excuse me, it seemed like the momentum was on the side of Justin Gaethje. But he went for his inside low kick again, and he turned his head away as he went for that inside low kick, and Poirier came over the top with his left hand. It really rocked and stunned Gaethje. Gaethje tried to survive. He went back to the fence. You could see him calling Poirier on like he normally does. He's got his guard close, and Poirier had been being intermittent with his like 5-punch combinations throughout the majority of this fight, and then at the end here, he just let it all hang out. He fucking just went for it, and he got the TKO stoppage at the end. Herb Dean like pulled Poirier off of Gaethje, and it was like hugging Poirier's back, and Gaethje like looked like he was gonna try to keep the fight going. He was moving toward Herb Dean and Dustin Poirier, looking for the fight still. He seemed a little bit discombobulated, and yeah, that's how the fight ended. It was extremely exciting. There was little doubt in my mind that those two are going to get the performance of the night bonuses. Dave Kula gave it a 4. He wanted to say 4.5 because the main event was exactly what I wanted it to be, but there was so much in the middle there that just didn't hold my interest. Synchronic7 says, I couldn't have predicted the main event any better. He told us in the pre-fight show that he thought either Poirier was going to get a late stoppage or perhaps a decision. If you wouldn't have said perhaps a decision, you would have been spot on, my dude. So good job, Synchronic DDP, Dustin Diamond Poirier did get that late stoppage. And I kind of feel bad for Justin Gaethje a little bit. We'll talk about how great it is for Poirier in a second, but Gaethje is arguably one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. I believe this is his third fight in the UFC, and I think that he probably is oh, whoops. I clicked the wrong thing. He's probably going to get his third fight of the night bonus in a row. Let me double check and make sure that he's got fight of the night bonuses in his previous 2 fights. Okay. Fight of the night against Eddie Alvarez, and he got performance of the night and fight of the night, fight of the year against Michael Johnson in his UFC debut. I guarantee you he wins fight of the night tonight. In the pre-fight guesses, no, we'll come back to that. And soon, guys, we're going to come back to your pre-fight guesses for what was going to be the fight of the night performance bonuses. Let me get back to your comments. What up, Ricky Berghughes? Bozy Tozy gave it a 4.5. Hamza Aman gave it a 4 out of 5. Synchronic 7 says Justin Gaethje needs to start level changing. I suppose. But he's just so fucking incredibly exciting that it just sucks to see him on a 2-fight losing streak, both of them via stoppages. Now we can talk about how fucking great it was for Dustin the Diamond Poirier. He was hurt on a couple of occasions in this fight. He was hurt by the inside low kicks from Gaethje, and he was also hurt by that right hand over the top from Poirier. Was hurt by Gaethje in the 3rd round. He fought through it. He came back to get that stoppage victory. He called out Khabib Nurmagomedov in the post-fight. He said that he wants that title shot. I don't think that's I don't think so. I think that Conor McGregor is either going to get the next title shot against Khabib, or perhaps Ferguson will get lined up for it. I honestly would like to see Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier run that shit back. Bozy Tozy says he's going to be scary to see Justin Gaethje in 10 years. Bozy Tozy also says, I don't know what Justin thought was going to happen or what he thinks is going to happen. If you take a lot of damage, your chin, and not to mention your brain, will deteriorate. Yeah, that's true. But it's all for our entertainment, and I appreciate him for doing that. Justin Gaethje's a funny guy. He's got a good personality. Perhaps we should see him hang it up, but because of the brain damage that he has sustained. But I want to see him at least twice more in the UFC. Let's just give him bangers 2 more times, and then he's making a lot of money. Probably. I don't know what his contract is for salary, but he's got an extra $50,000 in his first 2 fights. He actually got $100,000 extra in his first fight. He got $50,000 in the second one. He's going to get an extra $50,000 in this one. Maybe Gaethje gets the winner of Barboza and Lee. Maybe Gaethje gets the loser of Barboza Lee. I was dreaming about a fight between Barboza and Lee, or Barboza and Gaethje, because of Gaethje was the first fighter to ever have 2 TKO victories via TKO, via leg kick TKO. And Gaethje has phenomenal leg kicks, and he hits them a lot. It would just be interesting to see like the 2 best leg kickers in UFC history go at it in the lightweight division. I also like Hamza Aman says that Gaethje could fight Chiesa. You know what? I kind of want to watch Justin Gaethje fight Anthony Perez. I think Gaethje would beat Perez, and I would like to see that. Not that I'm not a fan of Perez, but that could main event something because Perez's name. Dave Kula says that Poirier could fight Ferguson if Khabib fights Conor. That's good too. So here's my options for the main event people, for the guys in the main events tonight. Man, my hair looks terrible, dudes. I need a haircut bad. Good thing it's happening like Monday. I'm going to go Alvarez versus Poirier, or Poirier versus Ferguson, and then I want Gaethje versus either Chiesa or Perez. That's what I'm going to go with. What do you think about that, guys? What up, Matthew Caldwell? I'm sorry you couldn't watch the fights tonight, dude, but they were absolutely fantastic. Well, like we always do, we went over the main event, talked about that, the ramifications. The fight was fucking great. If you missed the fights tonight, absolutely go back and watch the main event. Jack Slack, who does the Fights Gone By podcast, he's recently implemented a star rating system so that if you didn't watch the fights, he'll tell you how exciting it was and if you should go back and watch them. This was a 5 out of 5 for me. It was fantastic. It had ebbs. It had flows. Poirier won early. Gaethje won the 3rd round. It ended in a finish. I don't know what you could possibly want more out of a mixed martial arts contest. And what's really funny, too, in the build-up to this fight, Justin Gaethje was, they were asking questions, and he said, hey, if you have a friend that's not a fight fan yet, you show them my fights because, you know, they're super exciting. And he said, Grandma will watch MMA after she sees my fights or something like that. Well, yeah. Fucking Gaethje. And Matt Caldwell even mentions that Gaethje poked the eyes a couple of times of Poirier. Fuck it. I don't care. I like it anywho. Main card was pretty decent altogether, says Synchronic 7. I thought the whole card was fun. I don't know, maybe I'm just in a good mood today. I liked the whole thing. Before we get into talking about the rest of the card, though, let's talk about some WTFs of the card, so get those ready. But right now I'm going to tell you about how the blanket betting the underdogs went, and also the UFC Pick'em finished for the hashtag Fight Nerds. If you're not in the league, I will copy this link if you want to join the MMA Mania hashtag Fight Nerds UFC Pick'em League. So tonight, the underdogs went minus 3.45 units. Not ideal. So that moves us to, on the year, plus 4.89 units. So we're still up a good amount, nearly 5 units on the year, but tonight we lost 3.45. And when I locked in my bets, Jotko was the underdog, so I bet him. But it closed with Tavares as the underdog, and he won. So it could have looked better for us, but as it stands, this is what I did. I do the bets right before I do the pre-fight show, so that's about an hour before the fight starts. So that's what we ended up with. The UFC Pick'em League ended with these results for UFC on Fox 29. In first place, me. Flying Brian J got first place this week. 10 out of 14 right, 5 perfect, 6 bonuses for a total of 3,200 points. In second place was Mattis Dagas. 10 out of 14, got 4 perfect, 5 bonuses for a total of 3,005 points. Third place was Shermdog. 10 out of 14 with 3 perfect and 5 bonuses for a total of 2,955. Fourth place was Beck 13. Got 11 out of 14 right, but only got 1 perfect. 5 bonuses for a total of 2930. And a tie for fifth place was MMA Life. 10 out of 14, 4 perfect, 4 bonuses. And the same result was for Moogly, who got, you know, tied for fifth place. So congratulations to our top 5. You know, this is one of the only times I've ever finished in the top 5 this year for the MMA Mania UFC Pick'em League. Let's look at, in the world, I finished 481st on this event. Not ideal. And overall, the top 5 are Mattis Douglas in first, HL MMA in second, Vikram in third, Jack Mooney in fourth, and Moogly is in fifth place for this entire year on the hashtag Fight Nerds UFC Pick'em League. Back to your comments, my dudes. Matthew Caldwell had a comment that was held for review. I'll approve that. Bozy Tozy thought the card as a whole was really good, but I bet on pretty much every fight. You want to make boring fights exciting? Throw money on them. LOL. Actually, I don't like actually gambling on fights because it changes how I watch them. It actually lessens my enjoyment of the entire fight night, because if I lose money, I'm in a grumpy state of mind for the rest of the card if I lose money. Blanket betting the underdogs is a different thing. I'm just putting $1 on every single fight, and it's a fucking dollar. You know, and we are plus money on the year, but it doesn't really matter. But like, really gambling and trying to make picks, and then you lose, I'm like, damn it. One, I'm mad that I'm wrong. 2, I'm mad that I lost money, and I just don't like to actually bet on fights because it dampers my enjoyment of the entire fight card. Rob Amon gave the fight card a 4. Okami fight was pretty yawn. Yeah, it wasn't great, but I wasn't. Yeah, you're right. Matthew Caldwell, Sanya fight was pretty boring. I expected more. All right, got a couple of guys that are joining the hashtag Fight Nerds UFC Pick'em League for next time. Good luck, my dudes. Let's talk about WTF of the card. Again, I don't know if I'm in just a good mood, but there weren't too many WTFs of the card. There was some fucked up judging, but that's all the time, and I don't want to give a WTF of the card to the judges every fucking event. There was questionable fight IQ. I'll give, here's one WTF. And both of them are going to be negative. Even though I'm in a positive mood, both these WTFs are going to be negative, which I apologize for, dudes. Are the comments working? Yeah, you guys are still here. Number 1 WTF goes to Cast Iron Courtney Casey. Which one, what the fuck, why do they say Courtney Cast Iron Casey? That just doesn't sound right phonetically. Cast Iron Courtney Casey, that's what the fuck 1. What the fuck 2 is she has terrible fight IQ. She was just fucking hurting Michelle Waterson on the feet with the right hand over the top. Bah, hurt her a whole bunch of times. And Karate Hottie, like Matthew Caldwell said, would get takedowns. And then, but Cast Iron Courtney Casey, instead of looking to get back to her feet, would look for submissions. And she wasn't doing them properly. Like, she was deep on some arm bars, but as Luke Thomas noted a whole bunch of times on Twitter, she never got her legs in the proper position to finish that arm bar. Her legs were just kind of loosey-goosey. She had the arm proper on her chest and on her hips, but her legs weren't proper. Yeah, that's what the fuck, the Courtney Casey's fight IQ. Another what the fuck of the evening was at the very beginning. It was during Lauren Mueller versus Shanna Dobson. Lauren Mueller was using some footwork, you know. She looked pretty decent out there with her movement. And Daniel Cormier compared her footwork to Dominic Cruz's. And Dominic Cruz asked Cormier to please stop. And when Cormier started laughing like he does because he's a jovial person, I love the man, Dominic Cruz actually like got upset and said, "You're not funny," and was like, "Please stop, you're not funny." He was obviously getting a little bit annoyed of Cormier, and then it made it like just kind of awkward. And then after that, it seemed for a little bit, it seemed like Cormier was like trying to be like apologetic and kind of babying Dominic Cruz. What the fuck, Cruz? Just, you know, lighten up a little bit. I was wondering about that when they announced that they were going to be in the booth together. The Dominic Cruz he's very good at technical breakdowns, but he's kind of grumpy. And he doesn't like have fun, it doesn't seem. And Cormier's just there, he's giving technical analysis, but he's also just mostly just having fun. So what the fuck to that? And you guys are coming up with some good what the fucks too. Hamza Aman says what the fuck moment was Marvin Vittori calling an elbow and eye poke. We'll return to that fight in a moment. I usually use the what the fucks to talk about the fight. Chad Caldwell says, well, what the fuck of the card was Gaethje getting hit so many times? Come on, dude. You trying to become Muhammad Ali or something? And the judges giving the first 2 rounds to, well, giving the second and third round to Vittori was kind of nuts. Oh yeah, what the fuck of the card was, even Alex Cowboy Oliveira's corner, man, I'm just so mad about my hair looking shitty. Alex Cowboy Oliveira's corner thought that Condit had gone to sleep, and the referee was looking at it real close. It looked like he was going to sleep. It's like, man, I was a what the fuck scary moment too. Condit was out because of that up kick. Yeah. That's crazy that an up kick. We had a couple in... Well, let's just go in and talk about the co-main event of the evening. The result was Alex Oliveira finished Carlos Condit in the second round at 3:17 with a guillotine choke submission. It stemmed from Oliveira, like Carlos Condit was in the top position. Oliveira had pushed him off. Then Oliveira caught Condit pretty clean with an up kick, and Condit kind of doubled over and he fell over. Oliveira switched position. He got to his feet. Condit was going to go in for a takedown. Oliveira first locked up a standing guillotine choke, and then it went to the ground, and it didn't look like Condit was fighting it. And Daniel Cormier was like concerned for Condit. And he's like, I think he's out. And like Cormier started being like kind of like, oh shit, nervous because he thinks he's out. And Cruz was like, he's working his arms in, Daniel. He's not out. He's not out. And Cormier's like, I don't know, man. He looks like he's out. He might have been out, whatever. He ended up tapping, and Oliveira got the finish. But what I was saying before, it was crazy because, like, earlier, it might have been the same round, I forget. The rounds always blend together for me. But Condit had caught Oliveira with a pretty solid up kick on 2 separate occasions. Like, it was very close to the same occasion. It was one time when Condit was on his back, and it was just 2 separate up kicks that, like, caught Oliveira pretty cleanly. Just wild that we had 3 solid up kicks in one fight. and one of them ended up causing the fight to be over. Coming in, I questioned Carlos Condit's chin, his durability, his heart, and you can't like have enough heart to fight back from being knocked out, really, right? But he said that he got hurt really bad from a short punch on the ground from Damian Maia. So when that up kick did land from Oliveira, I was concerned for him, and it ended up being the end of the fight, of course, as you know now. The fight played out a little bit like I expected it to. On the feet, seemed like Condit was doing some good things. Oliveira throws wild punches, and he might have connected on a couple good ones in the first round. But then Condit, Oliveira got the takedown, which I was like, knew that was going to happen, and that was in the first round. But Condit reversed position and got on top and was actually raining down some pretty decent ground and pound on Oliveira. But, yeah, then the second round came out, and the finish happened there. A lot of comments tonight. Sorry, I'll try to catch up. Thank you for all the comments, guys. I felt a couple of those elbows were illegal, though. Prototype Jack. Condit should fight Brown or rematch Ellenberger. Either one of those makes sense. Condit should retire, says Matthew Caldwell. That should be the next thing that makes sense. Condit should retire, says Rob Amon. Synchronic 7 says he only came back to make money for his coffee business. He's not in the fight anymore. Dave Kula says he called Oliveira for the performance of the night. Let me just, yeah. Adesanya and Cowboy getting performance of the nights. I have it written down. Dave Kula correctly predicted that. So, yeah, I think Condit should retire. I thought about this, and tonight he was supposed to fight Matt Brown, but Matt Brown pulled out 12 days ago with an injury, and he was replaced by the Brazilian Cowboy. I thought at first that I'd want to see that fight to be remade, Condit versus Matt Brown. But after watching tonight, I don't care to see the fight. Carlos Condit's on a 3-fight losing streak. He hasn't won a fight since 2015, although many people, including myself, thought that he defeated ruthless Robbie Lawler back in January of 2016, so it's barely 2016. But he's on a 4-fight losing streak stemming back to his victory over Thiago Alves back in May of 2015. So 3 years ago was his last victory. Before that, he lost to Tyron Woodley. I think he should hang it up. I think that's the best option, is for Carlos Condit to be done. Bozy Tozy. Condit took a lot of shots from Lawler. His chin looked good then. Maybe that fight has something to do with it. Amazing fighters always have their chins go, and then just it's downhill, says Matthew Caldwell. 4-fight losing streak confirms Bozy Tozy. Anywho, so that's the co-main event. Let's go in and talk about some other fights. Oh, Rob Amon wants to talk about who Oliveira should fight, I guess. Yeah, we should do that. Let me pull up the rankings. It's a good idea. Okay, welterweight rankings. Oliveira is not ranked. Carlos Condit was number 12. Alex Cowboy Oliveira. What's Jorge Masvidal up to? Masvidal's lost 2 in a row. I don't think he has a fight scheduled right now. Could be a good rebound fight for him. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I would like to see the Brazilian Cowboy fight Jorge Masvidal. And if not, Rob Amon isn't too far off. The winner of Ponzinibbio versus Usman. Dave Kula says he thinks there's still life in Carlos against guys below the top 15. I don't buy that he's completely shot. He's just not at this level anymore. Matthew Caldwell compares Condit to Diego Sanchez, one of his all-time favorite fighters. He needs to hang it up or be a gatekeeper for the top 10 or something. Cowboy will be 12 now. Oliveira should fight Dong Young Kim. The stun gun? Sure. Yeah, if Usman the winner of Usman Ponzinibbio is moving toward a title shot. I don't think Cowboy would go that high. No, the Brazilian Cowboy used to be a lightweight, Ricky, but he lost. No, he didn't make weight. He didn't make weight really badly, so he moved up to welterweight, and he's obviously a pretty filled out welterweight. But Masvidal's also moved up to welterweight. Maybe that's where you're confused. Ooh, Brazilian Cowboy versus Neil Magny. Anyway. Bozy Tozy comments on Condit's record in his last 9, which is 2-7, and also Condit has a losing record in the UFC. So, yeah, he should just go. Anyway, let's stop talking about Carlos Condit and how sad that makes us. Alex Oliveira, big victory for him. He's got some pretty big victories. He lost the Yancy Medeiros. He's 3-1 in his last 4. He's only lost 1 fight in the last 2 years. And that was against Yancy Medeiros. So, yeah, big things for the Brazilian Cowboy. Anyway, guys, let's move on with this show. Talk about the next fight down, which was Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vittori. Adesanya won a split decision, 29-28, 28-29, 29-28. And Vittori seemed like he was upset that he didn't get the nod. It was super weird, as I think Caldwell mentioned. No, Hamza Aman mentioned it, didn't he? I'm sorry, guys, which one? Adesanya had poked Vittori in the eye like one time, and it was a little one. Then after he got that poke in the eye, Adesanya hit him with a fist once, and Vittori was like, hey, eye poke again. And Adesanya even said it out loud, like, I punched you, dude. Stop fucking crying. And then a little bit later, Adesanya hit him with a, downward elbow. Bam. And Vittori again was like, hey, eye poke, eye poke, eye poke. And Adesanya's like, what the fuck? What the fuck, Vittori, you goofball? Clearly an elbow. He's hit him, bam, on the orbital bone. Adesanya, in my opinion, clearly won the first 2 rounds. I saw a lot of people that were actually upset that Vittori didn't get the nod. I wondered if they had bet on the fight, but Adesanya the stats don't say everything, but Adesanya was hitting Vittori with the harder strikes, and he hit him with more strikes in the first 2 rounds. 3rd round was clearly Vittori because he took the fight to the ground. I got 2 takedowns, and he spent a total of 2 minutes and 54 seconds in top control on that round, and Adesanya didn't really have much of an answer for the takedown or the get-up game. When he was on his back, the commentators mentioned it. He's flat-footed, flat on his back, and just kind of muscled his way to his feet. He's a really athletic guy, super long, but his technique on the ground is really, 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 really lacking. Bozy Tozy says, Vittori exposed Israel's takedown defense. He got taken down by a damned Italian. Not to mention the fight before, his takedown defense was exposed, but this solidified the fact that it's a big hole. Imagine Israel defending Yoel Romero or Jacare's takedowns. Adesanya should fight Pichota next. Well, Bozy Tozy helps me go into, I don't think that we should make Israel Adesanya face anybody high level anytime soon. His takedown defense was poor. He's a former kickboxer. He's not been in mixed martial arts for too long. But think about if we got... During the broadcast, Daniel Cormier mentioned that he brought in Israel Adesanya into his fight camp when he was scheduled to fight John Jones to mimic the long, lengthy striking of John Jones and the dynamism on the feet. Imagine if Adesanya went and trained with Daniel Cormier full-time and tried to cinch up that takedown defense. Imagine. I was imagining it during the fight. So if we get this guy some takedown defense or at least some skills to be able to get to his feet or look for submissions, anything when he gets put on his back. Ooh, Prototype Jack says, I'm not saying this should happen, but next imagine Uriah Hall versus Israel Adesanya. Ooh, that fucking sounds so good, Jack. Damn, good one, buddy. But imagine this. I don't know who, but Israel Adesanya should just crush cans for a minute. The next 3 fights, keep him on... Well, he's already on a main card on Fox, right? But we keep him on the prelims. We have him crush cans, similar to what Bellator does with Michael Venom Page. And then after a bit, we can move him up to somebody like Uriah Hall. But like to add on that, Israel said to Dana White that he wants to fight quickly. He wants another fight really soon. I say let's do it. But we have him against, I'm not going to bring up Tapology and look at the top, 100 middleweights in the world, but let's have him just fight nobodies, debutantes, people that, he's got, Dave Kula says he's got some very specific work he needs to do. There's obviously something special there. Obviously, Bellator does suck. Sorry, Matthew. I don't really like Bellator. I don't know, something about their production value, it seems off. Like the crowd noise just isn't there or something. I don't know. Dave Kula says he agrees on the cans for at least 2 more before we even think about a name we know. Right, yeah, just give him debutantes. Look what happened to Yair. Let's not rush him. I agree. How old is Adesanya? He's 28, but he's got a lot of miles on him. He's 50-5 with 2 draws in his kickboxing record. He's 5-1 in boxing. He's now 13-0 in mixed martial arts. He's been competing in mixed martial arts for 6 years. So, man, maybe he should have these things cinched up. But just imagine if he went and trained with AKA and shored up some of them grappling and wrestling holes. They're not going to give him to the Spider. Hell, the Spider's probably never fighting again. Adesanya versus Hector Lombard. Sounds fun. It would be a lot of fun. No, that's too big too. Anthony Lionheart-Smith is facing Rashad Evans in Chicago, right? But Anthony Smith versus Adesanya would be a lot of fun. I don't know. Anyway, guys, can crushing. But let's move on. Please give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. And I think I got my subscribe alert fixed. Let me see. Yep, works. Zangief. Sweet. So yeah, thumb the video up, my dudes. But let's go and talk about the next fight, which was the first fight on the main card portion, which was Michelle Waterson versus Cast Iron Courtney Casey. We touched on it already. Kinda. Courtney Casey doesn't have the best fight IQ. She was also struggling to find the range on Waterson. Waterson was using a good movement, moving back and switching side to side and staying out of range of Courtney Casey. Casey often found the home for the right hand, but she couldn't follow up with it because Michelle Waterson wouldn't be there to be hit again. And then Waterson got hurt a couple times by that right hand, and Michelle just went for takedowns and got him like nothing. Angela Overkill Hill tweeted that because Michelle Waterson is so small for this division, she's so low to the ground, she doesn't even have to change levels to get takedowns. She just drives her shoulder into the hips of her opponent and got her down. I tweeted that we could change Michelle Waterson's nickname to the Wrestling Hottie because she had a lot of takedowns in this fight and she was really effective with those takedowns, but when she got the fight to the ground, she didn't do a lot with them. Like in the second round, first round she got a takedown, only landed 4 strikes on the ground. Didn't work for a submission, nothing. Second round, she got a takedown. She only landed 7 strikes on the ground. No submission attempts. Third round, got the fight to the ground. 1 for 2 in takedowns. Only landed 5 strikes on the ground. Insane to me. But Waterson did outland Casey on in every round. Courtney Casey has now lost 2 split decisions in a row. She has 3 UFC victories, so she has 3 UFC victories, 5 UFC losses. They'll probably give her another one because she's a gamer. She's very tough. She's a strong, durable gal. I don't know what's next for her, but probably a debutante. What's next for Michelle Waterson? Well, let's take a peek at these rankings. Let's go back to the rankings. Somebody not huge, because I don't like seeing her fight somebody that's that much larger than she is. But she is what did I say? Did I say flyweight? Strawweight. This fight was a strawweight fight. Michelle Waterson is number 7. Girls above her: Carla Esparza, Tisha Torres, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Felice Herrig. I don't know. Felice Herrig could probably muscle the shit out of Michelle Waterson. But I'm interested in seeing a fight between Felice Herrig and Michelle Waterson. What do you guys think? Yeah. Karate Hottie, when she was jumping up and down and starting to fight, made it a 5 out of 5 for me. Says Matthew Caldwell. Dave Kula missed the fight because he was putting his daughter to bed. All right, family is important. I understand. It was a good fight, though. Overall, it was a really entertaining fight. Back and forth on the ground. Courtney Casey was looking for those arm bars that we talked about earlier a lot. She was looking for triangles that she was nowhere close to getting. She was looking for the arm bars off of her back, and it was really, really entertaining when the fight was on the ground. On the feet, it was an interesting dynamic. Waterson once dropped Casey with a kick to the chest. I thought it was like a push kick. Bloody Elbow tweeted that it was a front kick. It looked like a push kick to me. We'll stick with that, I guess. Casey hurt Waterson with the right hands. It was a fun back and forth contest. I would give the fight a 4 out of 5. It was really, really good. Rob Amon mentions that Randa Marcos could be next for Michelle Waterson. Sure, either Marcos or Felice Herrig I'm good with. Joanne Calderwood would be a fun contest for Michelle Waterson. Calderwood probably needs a rebound fight. This is off topic a little bit, guys, but do you follow Joanne Calderwood on Instagram? She's the last person I would expect to be, posting a lot of like skimpy pictures. But she posts. That's all she posts. I can't believe it. It's weird. It's just the last thing I thought would happen. Anyway, we'll move down the card. How long we've been hanging out? Quite a while. Okay. Before that, Antonio Carlos Jr. beat Tim Boetsch with a submission rear naked choke. This was wild. This was a fun finish. Antonio Carlos Jr., I said his strikes are really labored and slow, but he was hitting Tim Boetsch on the feet. He was winning on the feet. Then he decided to change it up and go for a takedown, and he, like big brothered Tim Boetsch. Got his hands locked around the waist of Tim Boetsch, picked him up, put him down, flowed all over him, got the body lock triangle, and the rear naked choke was shortly thereafter. I was impressed with the ferocity with which Carlos Jr. was throwing on the feet, how quick his punches were tonight, and then his jiu-jitsu is just dazzling. Wow. Boetsch, it doesn't have a great record in the UFC, and he's also... well, he's 3-2 in his last 5, so not terrible. But Antonio Carlos Jr. made him look bad. Antonio Carlos Jr. looked really good. If we can just focus on how he looked tonight. Jotko lost to Brad Tavares. I think that Antonio Carlos Jr. is going to be starting to move his way into the top 15 of the middleweight division, and I would like to see. Is Krzysztof Jotko going to get cut from the UFC? He lost to Brett Tavares, TKO from punches tonight. He's on a 3-fight skid. His last 2 were TKO losses. He was still in the top 15, though. That's kind of crazy. I was going to suggest Shoeface versus Jotko. I think Jotko's going to be cut. Rob Amon likes to come here and just give people the axe. Get out of here, fighters that lost. Later, Matthew. Thanks for hanging out, my dude. Matthew Caldwell, avid viewer of the show, program contributor, is leaving. Hamza Aman says Antonio Carlos Jr. should fight Derek Brunson. Brunson's coming off of that TKO loss to Ronaldo Jacare Souza. I like that a lot. I like that a lot, Hamza. You're coming with that heat tonight. Brunson is number 7. But man, I don't know. The ranking system's stupid. I was either thinking Brad Tavares versus Shoeface because of the timing. It fits up nicely. Or yeah, I like Brunson. I like Brunson versus Shoeface. Who called out Michael Bisping tonight? Brad Tavares did. We'll get to that in a second. Okay. I'm going to run over... Well, man, this fight card was really good. I kind of want to talk about everything, but I also don't want to spend too much time talking about it. We've been here for 40 minutes. Dave Kula wants Carlos Jr. versus Paulo Borrachina. Borrachina hasn't... He said he's been disappeared since he dusted Johnny Hendricks. I'm going to stick with what I said. I want Shoeface either against Brunson or Tavares. Let's talk about Tavares since we mentioned him. Middleweight fight. It was the first fight on Fox tonight after the Fight Pass prelims. Brad Tavares had not finished a fight since 2011 when he defeated Phil Baroni. But he got a TKO punches at 2 minutes and 16 seconds of round number 3. Tavares looked really good. He was mixing things up well. He was hitting with a lot of power. And Jotko really just moved backward and had his chin up high a lot. I believe Tavares caught him with an overhand right. Whoa. Well, let me check my Instagram page. Check the Instagram real quick. Sorry for the delay, my dudes. Where is that fight? Did I not post this on Instagram? I might not have posted it on Instagram. I don't know what the hell. What the fuck? Well, anyway, I guess it's not that important. We don't have to talk about it. We're just going to skip talking about Tavares versus Jotko because I can't remember the techniques used exactly. I apologize, my friends. But anyway, what the fuck happened? Sorry, I can't remember. Okay, so let's talk about Muslim Salikov versus Ricky Rainey. This was a fight where Ricky Rainey, I think, won the first round against Salikov. Ricky Rainey was the longer, taller man. He was keeping Salikov on the end of his punches, and Salikov was having trouble coming in. So much so that Dominic Cruz was asking Daniel Cormier what he should do to deal with him, because Cormier is a similar... Oh, here it is. I found that fight. There's ground and pound that Tavares finished Jotko with. I know that much. Anyway, so Salikov came out in the second round and finished Ricky Rainey really, really early on with a right hand over the top that hit Rainey right behind the ear and the back of the head, took his equilibrium away from him, sent him to the canvas. Ricky Rainey was flat on his back, and Salikov hit him with 2 punches in a row while he was already out, basically, and bounced Ricky Rainey's head off of the canvas. Wow. In the post-fight, I believe it was... well, John Anik asked him what he wanted next, and he's just happy to be here, and he'll take whoever, basically. That's how that went down. I thought it was an overhand right that dropped Jotko, because I remember Jotko standing super tall, and he just kept pulling back, like just pulling back. And the overhand right was, I think, what did it. It crumbled him, then Tavares came with that ground and pound. Synchronic 7 also called the Gilbert Burns knockout. Quickly, let's go over our post-fight bonuses before we start talking about anything else. Well, this is going to be terrible in podcast form, but I want to talk about the flyweight fight, John Moraga versus Wilson Hayes, before we go. So, John Moraga defeated Wilson Hayes 29-28 across the board. I thought that he won the first 2 rounds. Wilson Hayes got the 3rd round. But John Moraga was hitting Wilson Hayes with the bigger shots and the longer shots with a lot more quickness in the first 2 rounds. John Moraga also went for a couple of guillotines like he always did, but John outlanded Wilson Reis 18-3 in the first round. He had a good jab, he had good movement, and he came with some pretty big punches. Second round, he outlanded Reis 23-14. Reis got 2 takedowns, but Moraga kind of gave them to him because he goes for that guillotine. In between rounds 2 and 3, Moraga's corner told him to stop going for that guillotine. And then Wilson Reis got takedowns even more easily. But I was surprised to see that Moraga had more power and more quickness on the feet, and Wilson had a lot of trouble dealing with the range of Moraga. In the flyweight division, Wilson Reis is a super short dude. And it's crazy because John Moraga, a couple years ago, he was going to retire. Then he came back, and ever since then, I believe he's on like a 3-fight winning streak. He was a 4-1 underdog against Magomed Bibulatov, and he knocked him out in the first round, 138 of the first round. He was on a 3-fight skid, thought about quitting. Then he came back, defeated Ashkan Mokhtarian via decision, and now he's got a knockout over Magomed Bibulatov and a decision over Wilson Reis. It was a really, really incredibly fun fight. Back and forth. They were doing a lot of fun, exciting things when it was on the ground. Both guys were thrown with heavy leather on the feet. It was a really entertaining scrap. Ooh, thank you, McDuck. McDuck is money for subscribing. What up, dude? How you been? Thanks for being here. Okay, let's give our post-fight bonuses out right now. Before I look at the official post-fight bonuses, let's get it popping. All right, so my post-fight bonuses are going to go to, of course, the main event for... No, wait, I forgot. Our predictions. So the viewers' predictions for performance bonuses. We both gave the main event, fight of the night was our prediction. I think we won that. My performance bonuses were going to go to Boetsch and Adesanya. Obviously, I was wrong with those. Matthew Caldwell says Carlos Condit was going to get a post-fight bonus. Not happening. Dave Kula gave post-fight bonuses to Adesanya and the Brazilian Cowboy. The Brazilian Cowboy might get one. Jeffrey James said that Gaethje was going to get a performance bonus. And Lance Godley had performance bonus going to Dustin Poirier and Adesanya. So he was going to give Dustin Poirier an extra $100,000 for getting performance of the night and fight of the night. And I think that's what I'm going with as well. Main event gets fight of the night. Dustin Poirier gets a performance bonus. Alex Oliveira gets a performance bonus. And then because I always give out an extra bonus, I'm going to go with my extra 5th bonus to Antonio Carlos Jr. I don't think that really slick jiu-jitsu and fucking like big brothering somebody like Shoeface did to Tim Boetsch, I think it goes unrecognized a lot. And I'm going to give him my 5th bonus. What do you guys think? Fight of the night, Poirier Gaethje, obviously. Poirier gets knockout of the night, says Rob Amon. Rob Amon also said, okay, here we go. Synchronic 7 says Gaethje. The main event, fight of the night, performance bonuses go to Cowboy and Perez. Let me check the real ones, my dudes. Post-fight bonuses. Where the fuck are they? Well, Bloody Elbow just posted an article. I didn't want to read an article. I just want to see it in Twitter form. Fight of the night went to the main event, obviously. And performance bonuses went to Adam Vyshorek and the Brazilian Cowboy. So Dustin Poirier missed out on an extra 50, but that's fine. Main event got the extra 50 each, and Adam Vyshorek got another bonus. So let's talk about Adam Vyshorek's performance over Arjan Bhullar. On the feet, Bhullar was getting the better of Vyshorek in the striking, and Daniel Cormier and Dominic Cruz even mentioned it. When Bhullar went for a takedown, they were like, why would he do that? He was obviously winning on the feet, and he was kind of hurting Vyshorek. But he's got a background in wrestling. He was a Olympic representative for his country in wrestling. So he decided to take the fight to the ground. And he controlled Vittori there for a lot of the first round, I believe. Yeah, 3:58 of the first round. So almost 4 minutes of Arjan Bhullar was in top position on Vittori. Second round, Bhullar went for the takedown early, and then Vittori hit the second ever omoplata submission victory in UFC history. The first one was Ben Saunders over Chris Heatherly. Wild and crazy shit. And Vittori is a really, really tall, heavy guy, and he hit this thing on Arjan Singh Bhullar, and it was really pretty. That's why he got the extra $50,000, because it was only the second omoplata victory in UFC history. Craziness. He got it up there, and he whipped it over, and Bhullar tapped, and then Bhullar just laid on face down for a second. At first, I didn't see the tap. I just saw Vittori, was like, all right, I'm done here. Bhullar just laid kind of flat on face down on the canvas for a second. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then they showed us another angle, and Bhullar had tapped. Insane that a heavyweight was able to hit this thing, but it makes sense because Bhullar, being the size that he is, was unable to roll out of it. There was a comment earlier asking me what I thought about Bhullar in the UFC. I don't know. Maybe he just needs to have more confidence in his striking skills, because he was beating Vittori on the feet. And Vittori, actually, the majority of his victories, if not all of them, are via... He doesn't even have a fucking Wikipedia page. We'll look at him on Sherdog, I guess. I don't prefer Sherdog. But 6 of his 10 victories for Siwi Vittori are via submission. So, yeah. Arjan, he's got a solid wrestling background. We know that he could beat a lot of dudes that don't have solid takedown defense. I'm excited to see him still in the UFC. This one loss has not diminished my hopes for him. Bhullar looks green and has no sub-defense or offense. Bhullar. I was thinking of an omoplata as just a transition. Yeah, me too. It's just like to reverse position. You're on the bottom, you get the leg over there, you roll them over, and then they have to roll to keep their shoulder from popping out of socket or hurting themselves. They usually just roll over, but he didn't do that. He was fucking flat down, and he could not have rolled over. Wild times. So he's got great wrestling, but minimum sub defense or offense. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Fun fight, though. Great finish. It was exciting to see. First round, it wasn't that fun, but when the finish happened, I was like, woo! I actually cheered. We already talked about the main event, and I don't want to go back to it too much, but how many fighters on the regular basis get you to, actually yell at the TV? When Gaethje hurt Poirier in that third round with the right hand, I actually was like, woohoo! Go Justin! And yeah, and clapping and shit. It got me emotionally invested. Oh, this was a fun fucking night of fights. Let's go talk about Alejandro Perez versus Matthew Lopez. First round, Lopez got takedowns on Perez, got his back and was looking for a submission. Perez did a good job of holding on to the wrist, finding one arm, 2-on-1, to defend against the choke from Lopez. Second round came out, and Perez is this guy that I think of as a volume, move-arounder, not that hard of hitting kind of fighter. But when Lopez got a little bit tired in that second round before the finish happened, Perez was getting Lopez with some big bombs of strikes, and he hit him with a knee up the middle that got Lopez wobbled, hurt him a lot, and then he sent him back toward the canvas, or not to the canvas, toward the cage, and Perez just opened up on him with volume while Lopez was hurt against that fence, and the referee came in. Great stoppage. Huge performance from Perez because, like I said, I think of him as this guy that doesn't finish fights, that just wins close split decisions. And his last 2 victories were via unanimous decision and split decision. The one before that was a majority draw. Before that, he did TKO Ian Entwistle, but Entwistle only goes for the knee bar or knee lock. And before that, Scott Jorgensen hurt himself. So, much needed finish for Alejandro Perez. He cashed as one of the underdogs in the card. That was big for me. Rob Amon says Perez should get Rob Font next. I saw that Rob Font might be fighting... yeah, Rob Font's fighting Rafael Assunção at UFC 226. I knew I saw that news earlier today. So, I'm not going to book Perez versus that. I'm not going to say who I think is next for Perez. Who knows? Bular should fight Godbeer next. Oh, that's low tier. I don't even want to think about that. We're closing in on being done with the show. Let's talk. Hamza Aman asked if I'm excited for UFC 225. Hell yes, I'm excited for UFC 225. I love Yoel Romero. He's my favorite fighter right now. He gets a rematch against Robert Whittaker. I'm pumped to see that. In the co-main event, we've got an interim title fight for some fucking reason. Rafael dos Anjos versus Colby Covington. I do not care for Colby Covington. I hope that Rafael dos Anjos puts him down. I'm excited for that. CM Punk's fighting Mike Jackson. Mike Jackson's a really cool guy. Alistair Overeem versus Curtis Razor Blades. That's going to be fun. Holly Holm versus Megan Anderson. I could kind of care less about that fight, but it might be decent. Joseph Benavidez versus Sergio Pettis. That's fun as fuck. Mirsad Bektic versus Ricardo Lamas. That's fun as all get out. Like it a lot. Good stuff. Andrei Arlovsky versus Tai Tuivasa. Fun shit. Rashad Evans versus Anthony Lionheart-Smith. Love that as well. I think that pretty much does it for the show, my dudes. To sum things up, I gave the post-fight grade for this card a 4.5 out of 5. My post-fight bonuses went to the main event for Fight of the Night. I gave Dustin Poirier an extra 50K. I gave Alex Oliveira an extra 50K. And I gave Shoeface an extra 50K. That does it for the show, I think. I think right now on UFC Fight Pass, Pancrase is on. Let me double check. Victory Fighting Championships is on right now. And I believe Pancrase is on tonight too. Live events. Let me see. Oh, Pancrase starts at 3 a.m. Oh, fuck. Beans. Well, Victory Fighting just started a half an hour ago, so let's all go over to UFC Fight Pass and watch Victory Fighting Championships from Indiana and just get a little bit more MMA in our systems before we end this week. Thank you all so much for being here. I truly appreciate your comments and helping me out with the show. I appreciate you for subscribing to the channel, thumbing the video up, and all that jazz. Thank you for your assistance in breaking down this card. I truly appreciate you every time you come here. I got a lot of love for you guys. I'm going to go now, and seriously, I'm going to watch Victory Fighting Championships, and I'm also going to drink not a lot of beer, but I'm going to drink some beer. This is a homemade blonde ale that I made with my wife that I named Just Married because I got married 3 weeks ago today. So we made this together. It's really delicious. If I can, I'll tell you a little bit about the beer. It is a super complicated malt bill, but very simple hops. My wife said that the malt bill could be complicated like relationships are complicated, but the hops are like the love, because love is simple. You love somebody, you want to spend your life with them. So, blonde called Just Married. Anyway, thank you for being here. Hamza Aman, Synchronic 7, Rob Amon, Dave Kula. I appreciate you for being here. I think this is your first day hanging with us. Truly appreciate you. McDuck, thanks for subscribing. Matthew Caldwell was here earlier. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys later. I'll see you on this upcoming week. I'll be doing my top 3 fights to watch, my beer pairing video for the next event, which is happening on April 21st. Main evented by Edson Barbosa versus Kevin Lee. Co-main event is Frankie Edgar versus Cub Swanson. And I won't be here to do a pre-fight or post-fight show for that event because I'm leaving on my honeymoon that day. And also, if there's a card on the 28th, there's not a card on the 28th. So I won't see you guys next week, but I will be doing my videos this upcoming week. So anyway, thanks again for the support. I'll see you guys later. Namaste. Namaste in this chair and drink some beer. Love you guys. See ya. Oh, later, Dean Martin. That's all right. We'll get you next time, my friend. Peace out, my friends.